One of those stories that I noticed that one of our team, Ken Lundberg, our news director, was working on was about taxes and Michigan and things when it comes to the gas pump. I didn't realize, Ken, that we were paying so much at the pump, and like 70 cents was going to taxes. Is that what that is?
Yeah, 70 cents. Are you hearing me okay, Johnny?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, excellent. Sorry. Yeah, 70 cents per gallon, and that's not all, going to the highways, and I think that's part of the problem. It's a federal, state, local mixture, and while a lot of people are paying for that gas tax when they fuel up at the pump, the growing problem is electric vehicles.
Right. And electric vehicles, we were just listening to it a little bit ago, ABC News talking about how wanting more and more electric vehicles by what is it, 2030, pretty much most of the manufacturers are going to be producing electric vehicles, but electric vehicle owners aren't paying a lot when it comes to they're not paying these kind of taxes. EV owners pay no federal gas tax, and their state registration fee doesn't really replace that state gas tax. One study by the Anderson Group, actually, from an article that I'm reading from MichiganRadio.org, Anderson Group, it estimates the state of Michigan lost approximately $50 million in gas tax revenue just because of that. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
so the
Million.
the numbers vary
Yeah,
by vehicle, by state, and obviously by how much you're paying at the pumps,
right.
because there is an incremental increase in the gas tax, factored in for inflation. And so when you talk about that growing pothole, the deficit
Mhm.
between what, the highway funds projected and what they're receiving, the gap is growing. The pothole is, if you
Yeah.
will, is getting bigger and bigger. And as you pointed out, it's tens of millions of dollars right now, over a period of time. By the time that we're supposed to be transferred over to electric vehicles in the 2030s
Mhm.
range, the deficit, if unaddressed, could be around $90 million in Michigan alone per
Yeah,
year.
it's crazy, and I know driving around, and especially the way the weather has been up and down, potholes are more and more prevalent all around. I'm constantly dodging everything. It's like I'm on a video game. It's
Yeah, it's a great fun video game if you didn't have to pay for tires and suspension and transmission and all that other fun stuff.
Yeah, but if it was like a real video game, I would have, like on Mario Kart, things that I could throw at other vehicles to get them off the road, and
The
I don't
banana is
have
my
those.
favorite.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, with this, what is the solution?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we can't make the decisions, but obviously something has to be figured out because there's a huge gap, and the gap is gonna get bigger, and the pothole is going to get bigger because they're not gonna have the money to be able to fix that stuff.
Yeah, I sensitive listeners, cover your ears. I'm gonna quote our governor, "Fix the damn potholes."
Yeah.
And, I think what the legislature has been, told that they're going to do is address the issue. But what's happened is there hasn't been a fix to address
Mhm.
this particular problem that we're talking about. And I talked with I'm sorry, Representative Pauline Wenzel. We
Yep.
talked with Senator Eric Nesbitt. We have the question in for Joey Andrews as well. Is what's going to happen in the legislative session in Lansing this year to address that? And so far, from the representatives and senators we've talked to, there's not a vehicle running in the legislature that's going to address the electric vehicle roads tax deficit.
Mhm.
And so, some of the solutions that are on the table right now, what would you do since they're not going to the pumps? And if you're going to tax the gasoline to fix the roads, well, do we charge them up front? That's happening in some cases. Do we apply a mileage tax? 19 states are already saying,
Mhm.
okay, you drive this much, you're going to pay this much. So it's a reported mileage use type tax. There's another flat fee where you just add on to your tabs every year. So you either pay that up front, you pay that ongoing, or you pay that on every year, every other year, however often you renew your plates.
Mhm.
So it's, there are things on the table. Nothing's been solved yet.
I think another solution and something that needs to be looked at is we just need to switch to flying cars and everybody has to pay a flat fee and we don't have to worry about potholes on the roads.
That would
We
be amazing.
we would just have to worry about, other cars in the sky and I mean, I'm worried about bad drivers. I can't imagine once we start getting in flying in the air how bad of an issue it is.
Yeah, I mean, yell out your airplane window, pick a lane.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But no, it is something that certainly needs to be figured out, now, more than ever because, it's going to be an issue, and if by 2030 that is less than a decade away, and it's gotta be, something that we can come up with a solution because a lot of people are wanting well, some people, they say, are wanting to switch to electric cars, but, one thing I did read as well was a lot of people aren't likely to switch to electric cars. 47% of Americans that were polled said they're not going to switch anytime soon. And it's probably because a lot of this unsure what's going to happen, what kind of other fees are going to be. Plus, EVs are kind of expensive right now. There are some rebates and things like that to help you out and help close the gap. But I think it's especially us being in sort of rural areas around Southwest Michigan, one of my biggest things and hesitations to getting an electric car is how far away are the charging stations when I'm
yeah,
going to places, when I'm going on a road trip or just traveling. Uh, if I go up to the UP, I don't know where I can charge
yeah.
that way. I mean, a lot of these will tell you where you can go charge, but it's a weird time right now.
You're right. You're right. It's a transition period,
Mhm.
and any good story has tension, and there's a lot of tension with electric vehicles right now because it's not only the gas tax that we've been talking about. It's not about the charging that you just mentioned. It's, there's this huge push, whether it's through economic incentive or emissions control or whatever, to get people into these cars. Walmart last week announced in the near future they will
Mhm.
have charging stations at every single one of their stores
Yeah.
and the Sam's Clubs. So Walmart and Sam's Clubs alone, that's more, another incentive to have the electric vehicle. And the grid, the electricity
Mhm.
grid. Are we generating enough electricity to power a nation of cars? If you turned off gas today and went to electric, what would that mean for the electricity grid? So tons of questions.
Mhm.
People are thinking about it. We'll see what happens.
Tons of questions, but not enough answers at the moment.
Right.
I think so. We'll see what ends up happening. I almost feel like we're at that same kind of moment when the automobile was introduced and they were trying to get people to drive automobiles and switch from the horse and chariot or horse and carriage to the automobile. It's kind of that transition. So we'll see what
Where
ends
will I feed my car?
I'm kind of leaning towards going back to the horse and buggy at this point. I think it would
Like it.
handle the potholes a little bit better.